Assalamu alaikum, peace be with you. I'm your brother in faith, Shabir Ally, speaking with you from the Muslim Media Hub. We're looking this Ramadan at faith and doubt, 30 big questions about belief. Yesterday, we were looking at why does it appear that some prayers are not answered? And today, we want to extend that discussion into a more specific question. Do prayers make a difference? Do prayers really change anything? So let's unpack this question. Normally, when we pray for things, we expect to see physical changes in the world, and sometimes we do not see that. And we may doubt that our prayers are really effective and that they did really bring about any physical change in our world. On the other hand, scientists assure us that everything is working according to natural laws. There is nothing like a divine intervention, and you're going to pray for something different to happen. It's not going to happen. So what difference does prayer make then? Does prayer have any benefit to people? We've already seen that there are various ways in which God answers prayers, but even before we bring God into a reality, like we believe God exists, but even if we're not considering that for the moment, like what difference does the prayer actually make for the person? For the person praying, actually, there are a lot of differences that occur. First of all, it gives the person praying a sense of comfort and serenity, knowing that we have put all of our troubles, all our difficulties in the face of God. We have placed these in the lap of God, and we're leaving up now to God. We've done what we could in the world, and now we're praying, we're asking God to do the rest. And that gives us a sense of comfort and solace, knowing that there is a higher power who is going to now take it from here for us and on our behalf. Second, it gives us a sense of connectivity. We are connected with other people who are praying, especially if we're praying in a group setting. We feel that our problems are not ours alone, but it is the problems of other people as well. And collectively, we're all praying for the same thing. Even if it's a calamity that affected me personally, but there are other people who are there with me, praying to God for this calamity to be removed, for good to come to me. This sense of community and connectivity is there. More so, we feel connected with God. We feel connected with that higher power. Third, we can add the sense of resolve. When we are asking God for something, in our own minds, we become resolved to do exactly that thing. Like we're asking God, please give me a better job. When we finish from a prayer like that, we have to start thinking, yeah, you know what? I should be applying for a better job, because we know that the job won't just simply drop out of the sky into our laps. We'll have to do something to get it. And therefore, we want to follow up our prayer with action. So it motivates us towards action. Fourth point is that the prayer actually gives us more mental clarity. So we were thinking of doing something, maybe doing that, maybe doing this other thing. But once we formulate it in words in a prayer, this is a kind of determination in our own minds. We have actually clarified in our own minds what precisely we want. And so it's no longer like an iffy thing, maybe this, maybe that, not sure what exactly I want. We have put it into words in our asking God, and therefore coming out of that, we have this sense of clarity. This is precisely what I want, and therefore, naturally, we're going to work precisely for that. Now, so far, for the individual, these are all psychological differences that it makes in the person's life, and some of this translates into real action that will make a difference on the ground as well. But going beyond this, can the prayer itself result in any physical changes in our universe? Well, yes. As much as we believe that God exists, we believe that God does not have to follow the natural laws. Scientists say things are proceeding according to the natural laws, but we say that God is the one who put these natural laws into place, and He is free to not follow these natural laws. In fact, we'll go beyond this and say that what scientists observe and call natural laws, these are just God's regular way of doing things. But God does not necessarily have to continue doing those things in the same regular way. God always causes the sun to rise at a certain time in the morning, or it varies with from day to day. But let's say on a certain date, this is the expected sunrise time. But God can cause a delay. We believe that God can do this, and that would not be something impossible. It would not go against a natural law, because there is ultimately no such thing as a natural law. What scientists are describing as a natural law is not something that God has to follow as a law that we must obey, but this is just his regular way of doing things. But he doesn't have to always do things the way he regularly does it. See, he doesn't have to be a conformist in that way. Moreover, when we observe things to be working in a certain regular way all of the time, then that is our expectation that it must be like that. But it's not necessarily that it has to be like that. Maybe what God has programmed into the universe as a natural sequence of events may involve jumps that we do not anticipate. Let's say, for example, someone is counting and they count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. Now you say, wait a minute, you jumped from 5 to 10. And they say, well, that was deliberate. I wanted a sequence of numbers that go incrementally from 1 to 5, one increment at a time, and then it jumps to 10. And then I go 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 20. So that could be a different sort of sequence than you expected, but it's still a sequence. It is still a progression, and it is still a pattern, but it's not the pattern that you anticipated. It's a pattern of increments from 1 to 5, then a jump of 5, then increments of 1 to 5, and then another jump of 5, and so on. So God could be doing things in ways that are surprising to us based on what we normally would have expected, but that's all within the realm of God. God can make that happen. Now, how that translates into our present world, we gave an example of somebody applying for a job. So you're applying for a job. It depends on you presenting your resume, going for an interview, and the final judgment rests in the hands of the person who is interviewing you. Now, God can influence that person to do something in your favor and to hire you as opposed to hiring somebody else. And so God can influence the mind of that person. It may not be something that is detectable by the physical instruments that scientists use. It could come to a person in a dream. Maybe the employer has a dream the night before that I'm going to be sitting in an interview with a certain person of a certain sort of an appearance, and I'm going to hire that person. And then when they're there, sitting there, interviewing you, they realize that this is the person that I've dreamt about, and then they hire you. So there are many different subtle ways like this in which God can act in our world without scientists detecting that, and believers believe that this is all possible. Moreover, at the subatomic level, scientists cannot speak of determinism because we see that subatomic particles behave in apparently random ways. A photon can be explained both as a wave or as a particle, or light can be said to travel in waves or in particles. And experiments that have been done to detect the result of this, whether the light is traveling as waves or particles, have given surprising results. When, for example, light was shined to go through certain slits, it was found that sometimes it went through 2 different slits at once. Like the same particle would have to go through 2 different slits at once. And this seems impossible in our usual physical world. But in the scientific world, this is known as quantum mechanics. And quantum particles behave in strange and unpredictable ways. And that shows that we cannot speak of determinism at the quantum level. So God could be the determiner of indeterminacies at that quantum level. And through his subtle determination of such indeterminacies, God could be effecting changes in our world as a result of the prayers. Now, we've already seen in a previous discussion that prayers are answered in so many different ways that we do not perceive. So we should continue to put our petitions and our prayers before God, knowing that He's answering our prayers. Today, we just wanted to give a scientific and reasonable explanation to show that, yes, prayers do make a difference. First of all, they make a difference to the person. They make a difference to the person in that it gives us a lot of comfort. It gives us connectivity with God and with the people around us, with community. It gives us a sense of direction and purpose, because after praying, we're going to go out and do exactly what we were praying for. And it also gives us clarity so that we know precisely what we want, because now we have formulated it into words. And we've seen also that God can influence people in the decisions they make, for example, through dreams or through subtle inspiration in their minds. And God can also, at the subatomic level, be making changes and determinations that will have eventually some effects in the physical world as we see and observe it. So there's every reason for us to continue praying, because on the one hand, as we saw yesterday, God is always answering our prayers, even in ways that we do not perceive. And now we've seen today that, yes, God, despite what the scientists may say, God has the capability, and He does make a difference in our world when we pray. Differences in ourselves are natural as a result of prayer, and God will effectuate the rest. So continue to join us for the rest of our series as we're getting towards the end of Ramadan and towards the conclusion of this series. I'm your brother in faith, Shabir Ally, signing off from the Muslim Media Hub. Peace be with you and the mercy and blessings of God. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Tired of seeing how Muslims are portrayed in the media? You can help. Support Muslim Media Hub, the first of its kind to empower young people to produce content for film, TV, and social media. Be part of our journey at muslimmediahub.com.